Alrighty, guys. What is up? How was your week? It is the DAE developer, or one of them anyway, David, at your service here. Friendly neighborhood developer. We're here back with our Unity 2D project, the Infinite Typing Runner, and we're just going to keep working on this project. This will be the last stream for some time because we do have summer courses coming up. If you're interested at all, or you want to let your parents know, or you are a parent and you want to sign your child up, be sure to go to the DAE website. Check out some of our summer courses. We have a plethora of different subjects that you can sign your child up for. So check it out. Definitely worthwhile, I think. I will be one of the instructors, so if you're, familiar with my face and facial features, then you'll be able to see me online, obviously. So yeah, go to the site and check out all those details. But back to the subject at hand. Last time what we did was we added some enemies. We gave them some particle effects, and then we lost the particle effects. But at least we have the main behavior working. When you type out the word as the enemy goes by on the screen. Let's say this one. Oh, we have to disable that one. Let's do that. So we're constantly spawning in these enemies. We're just doing this for testing purposes. And let's say blurry. Oops. Go back in here. Blurry, and that one disappears. Test. Right. Blurry. Miracle. Boy, we're really blurry today, huh? Frog. Froggy, right? Okay. Frog. Right. So today what I want to work on is some what are called gizmos. Actually, one gizmo really that I just want to try out. And then also I want to work on UI today. So UI stands for user interface. User interface. Let's pronounce our words, David. And it's where, you see on the screen, you see the health of the player. Let's say you see the score, you see, I don't know, a number of different stats for the player. And let's see. Apparently, music is a bit low, so I'm gonna try to raise it a bit. Right, so let's start with what I call the gizmo. So the gizmo is a particular feature in Unity that allows you to show some different shapes on a screen. A gizmo, for example, is something like an icon for the camera. So the camera right now, you can see that it shows up on the screen. This is what's known as an icon, a gizmo icon. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to be drawing basic shapes like spheres and cubes, or in our case, circles and boxes, or circles and squares, to show just the radius of the player. I also want to go into this just to show you guys what it's like to add a gizmo, because you don't have to play your game to display a certain object. So let's do that. So I'm actually going to hop into the script here. We go into player movement, and what I want to do is what's called override one of the mono behavior functions, which is called void on draw gizmos selected. Right, and it fills it out for me. Thank you very much, Visual Studio. So what this does, there's an on draw gizmos. Actually, let me go over that again. On draw gizmos. Fine. I have to get rid of this too. I want to show the list of on draw gizmos. Right. So we have on draw gizmos, which is it allows you to show the gizmo, the shape, or the icon in the scene. Oh, I think these are mixed up. But on draw gizmos always draw the gizmo on the screen in the scene, and on draw gizmos selected only draws it if that object is selected. So I'm going to do on draw gizmos selected. Right, so what we're saying is, if this object, right, the player in this case, is selected, then I want to Gizmos dot draw. I'm gonna say draw sphere. What does this take? It takes in a center, which is transform dot position, and it takes in a radius. And just so happens that our player, maybe it was the text. But I'm just gonna do. I swear I thought the player had a radius. Maybe it was the text and not. It was the text. Okay, so maybe we should move this to the player. Yeah, let's do that. Close enough. Where do we check for the radius? Ooh. Radius. Okay, do that here. I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna go to find all references, and it should be the only one. Okay, cool. So I'm actually just gonna, if that's the only place where I'm using the radius, I can just as easily take this. I'm gonna check, see what the radius was or is. I would like to take a look at the letter, if I could. Do I have a lock on? No. So the inspector isn't updating. There we go. That's what I want. That's what we want. Okay, cool. So what was it? It was a word, right? The word has text behavior on it. Okay, so the radius was 10, so I'm just going to remember that number. Take this, move it on over, move it on up to the east side. Cool. Bring that in here. And we're just messing around a bit just to show you guys how to use a gizmo if you want to. Just do radius. We're going to have to update that line in text behavior as well. Thankfully, the only place where we need to use it is here, and we're already referencing the player movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this public. And I'm going to say pm.radius. So now I can access that property. Cool. Right. So let's change that in the player. Right quick. And go into player movement and set the radius to 10. Lovely. Whoa. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. So as we can see, this is the sphere that our gizmo is automatically drawing because we have the player selected. If I don't want sphere, giant asteroid to be covering my lovely mountainous town, what I can do is instead of drawing a sphere, I can draw a wire sphere. That's what I should have done in the first place. Let's see if that updates in the scene. It should hopefully. Okay, cool. That's better. Right, so now we have this radius here, and now what we can do is we can update this to well, to check what kind of a radius, how close we want the word to be to the player in order for us to be able to type on it. So it's just a handy tool. And it's just a basic overriding of one of these functions here. I can show you the difference, by the way. So I have the player selected right now, but if I don't select the player, you'll notice that the sphere disappears. If I were to change this function here from onDraw Gizmos selected to onDraw Gizmos, then it's going to update, it's going to recompile, do all its thing. Now, even though I don't have the player selected, it's still showing the wire sphere. So, you know, it just depends on what your preferences are. If you want to see it all the time, by all means, go for onDraw Gizmos. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to show when I select the player because I don't want it, you know, muddling up the other. Because Lord knows I'm going to have a lot of different gizmos here and there. It's just going to keep things a bit cleaner. There's also a way to draw a circle that involves drawing a whole bunch of lines in a literal circle, but in our case, for our purposes, the sphere works just fine. We could click out of the 2D version, and we can see that it is actually drawing a sphere. If we were to make a 3D game, this is what is actually appearing on the screen, but we're only seeing this circle right here in our 2D version. All right, cool. So yeah, let's get started on some UI then. So UI involves what? The health involves the score. So let's start with the score, just because we haven't dealt with colliding with an enemy or any sort of like health or HP, experience, things like that. Let's just deal with a score. Simple number. That's always good to start off with. So first thing that we are going to want is a canvas, which we have already. I'm sure I added this a long time ago, and it was never on the priority list until now, right? So this is our canvas. This is how Unity formats its canvas. So the canvas looks a lot bigger than the actual level, but what's going to happen is it's going to be overlaid onto the screen, and you can change that with this here. So screen space overlay. This means that because it's this big, it's well, not because it's this big, but whatever size it is, it's going to be overlaid onto our camera. So for example, if I were to add a new UI object, let's do, I don't know, text. Lovely. We love text, don't we? Score. Well, okay, maybe not an exclamation point. Score isn't that exciting. We can change the size and do that. I'm going to make it center and center, just because I'm OCD like that. And oopsie daisies. Let's see, and I can change the X position to be maybe towards the top. Definitely going to change this to a much bigger font size here. Okay, score. Let's maybe change the color as well and change the fonts. I'm going to make it, what should I make it? This is where it is right now. Should we make it black? I don't know. Maybe we can make it. We shouldn't do anything too light, like too bright. How is that? Maybe we can add in another background, like an image, that'll serve as like a contrast for the UI. But for right now, let's just stick with, just do straight up 0, 0, 0 on the RGB scale. Okay, and position, we're gonna just move to the top left. So, okay, I'm gonna fiddle with this a bit because I like things being even, and that's gonna bother me, so we're just gonna keep doing that, and you guys are gonna bear with me because that's gonna stare me in the face for the rest of the stream. Okay, so we have our score. Let's name this actually score text. Cool. So we're just gonna keep it simple for now. Okay. So we need a script. We need a couple of scripts, but let's start with the one for now. Let's do UI manager. We'll make a new object actually, and add new components. I'm going to look for UI manager. It's going to say, I don't know what that is. Do you want to make a new script? Why, yes, I do. Thank you very much. So let's make that. It's going to show up in our assets folder, and I want to move it into my scripts. I like to keep things organized. It's going to be helpful in the long run, that's for sure. And that's just true in general life. Everybody's got their one piece of their life that isn't super organized. Mine is my room. You can't really tell right now because, well, I intentionally don't show you any of the mess, but it gets to look like a war zone in here every once in a while. And then spring comes around, and then everything gets clean. So we have this UI manager here, and this is going to keep track of all of our different UI text or UI objects, right? Whether it's a bar for the health or some other numbers or some maybe a timer or something like that, right? So for now, what we need to do is use the UI package from Unity. That's the first thing that we need. And we're actually going to attach this to, we already attached it here, didn't we? We did. Lovely. So let's do a new, what is it? Text. Text. And we can make this private, why not? I think in C# it defaults to private, but in Java it defaults to default. So, alright, whatever. So we have our score text. I guess we also want score. Ooh, excuse me. Cool. So what the score text is going to do is it's going to keep track of the score by saying score and then a colon and then whatever the number is. So we are going to say text equals score plus score. Something simple like that. We're going to put this in update so that it constantly updates if we happen to increase the score. We're going to make void add to score, and then we'll add some number. Oopsie daisies, maybe we'll do points. And we'll say score, or we'll say if points is greater than 0, score plus equals points. Maybe at some point we want the score, so we'll make a couple of getters and setters for that, but for the time being, we'll just leave it like this, and we're leaving this function available for anybody who wants to use it. So at some point we're going to want to add to the score when the player, let's say, destroys an enemy. So actually what we could do is, this is enemy, right? So at what point do we fade and then destroy? Okay, then we can do, yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. Once an enemy is destroyed, then we can add to our score. So we can actually override another one of MonoBehavior's functions or methods called onDestroy. So this is called once the object is destroyed. So once the enemy is destroyed, what we want to do is, we probably want to make this, ooh, yeah, okay. We need a reference to the UI manager object. And I don't necessarily want to do that. So maybe we can just do a UI manager. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a single manager instance. And I think I'm doing this correctly. What we want to do is say if, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Gravity is not my friend today. Sorry guys, that's my phone falling over. Just have that in case I get notifications from our admin team. So if I need to give that a name, don't I? Yeah, let's do that. UI manager. And if UI manager is not null, then destroy game object manager equals this. Oh, I don't need the this dot, right? Do I need to make this public? I'm not remembering actually. Okay, so we have add to score. So now let me see if that'll actually work. UI manager dot add, no. Maybe I do have to make it public. Manager dot add to score. And then some amount. So I think maybe, did we have a point system in our texts? No, we did not. So maybe we should do that as well. So maybe the points should be correlated to the number of letters that we have in our text. So we'll do private. To make that public for the enemy to access it. Public int value, and on start, once we set the text, we'll just say maybe it's the text size divided by 3. I don't know, something like that. Let's do if text is not equal to that, then okay, so this is in start, right? And then after all of this, right, so we're gonna set all those letters, and we can actually do it up here because we will have set the text, I think, already. But let's just do it at the end. It doesn't really matter. Value equals text dot length divided by 3. Sure, why not? So that's gonna be public, and right. So then what we want to say is add to score. Word. Oops. Do we have? Oh, we do have the word. Word. Oh. Set text. Oh, we want to get the child. Is that it? Yeah. Get component and children text behavior. Dot value. Yeah. So okay. Get components in children text behavior dot value. So once we destroy this object, we'll have added to our score. Okay, cool. So it's a bit messy, but nothing crazy going on just yet. So we have our score text, and what else do we need? What other references do we have in here? Do we have anything in text behavior? Nope, setting that manually. We don't actually need that. Do we need game manager? No. Okay. Yeah. So we have our score, which is 0. We have 1, now score is 1. Okay, cool. So this is working acoustic, right? We get 2 points there. Test. Now, if you guys are wondering why it's going up by 1 and not by decimals, like 4 divided by 3 is not 1. At least not in our, in typical, like, mathematical standards. But in coding, what happens when you divide an integer by an integer, it just gives you the whole number, and it removes any decimals at the end. Ooh, messed that one up. Yep. Okay. A lot of coins on the screen. Okay, so yeah, what happens is 4 divided by 3 is like 1.3333, right? Right, 1 1/3. What most programming languages do when you divide an integer by an integer, and that's what we're taking advantage of here, is you get what's called integer division. So it just lops off any remaining decimals or fractions, and it just gives you that whole number. So technically 7 divided by 3 would be 2, and 10 divided by 3 or 11 divided by 3 would be 3. So that's what's happening there. So that's working out. Cool. Let's see, what else do we have? We could make some kind of health. We could do yeah, we could do health. Let's do that. Let's put that at the top as well. So we'll make new UI object. We'll make an image. Sure. And do we really need a sprite necessarily? Well, let's see if they have anything in here. They have a lot of flowers. I see that. They have bushes, trees. Lovely, lovely, lovely. We do love our trees. We have clouds, coins. That's one point actually. I'm wondering if they have anything for UI. I don't know. They have a lot of stuff for background. They have a lot of assets in here, which is awesome. We could also go to the asset store and find some. Let's go do that. Let's see if we can find something that matches this sort of style, this cutesy, cartoony style. We can head over to the asset store, and this is where we got our sprites from originally. If you guys saw any of the previous episodes, let's do UI. Let's just search for that. And let's change the pricing. Let's make sure that it is free. Search modern UI pack, and I want to be sure that I select this. Yeah, UI samples, UI pack. Let's see here. Let's take a look. We'll keep looking. I'm sure we'll find something. And maybe there is more in here than I thought as far as this GUI. Oh, there's something. Hang on. Oh, okay. So we do have UI here. Oh, we have a lot of UI. Holy smokes. Oh, is that what this is meant to do? Oh, this is meant to be a bar. Okay, cool. So we could do something like this actually. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, let's go into, let's make this multiple, and let's go into sprite editor. Oh, we have to apply that first. Fine. Lovely. Let's slice and dice, and let's see here. So that looks like worked out great. So this one. Okay, cool. So we're gonna apply that. And now we should have all these different sprites available at our disposal, which is what we want. So I'm going to choose this one because I quite like this one actually. And we don't need the asset store anymore, so that's great. So in this image, we're going to set it to a sprite. And what is this one called? Actually, I'm going to call... what should I call this? Right. I'm just going to drag this one right in there. Cool. We're gonna make this much larger, and we're actually gonna make it a bit shorter. Okay, just want to move this to be maybe about, oh, I don't know, here. Oh, geez, I don't know. Let's also maybe decrease size of score. We can put it all inside. Maybe we can put it in a cloud, or maybe we can just put it in one of these, like a yellow something or other, like a background, right? So we can make a new UI image, and we'll call this one background. We'll call this one HP. I'm going to change the image of background to this guy. Oh, I think maybe it's just shift. Okay, yeah, if you hold shift, then it'll evenly change the width and the height at the same time. Let's see, so how do I change? I think maybe it's doing something like this. Yeah, okay. So it's just the ordering. Excuse me. So that's a bit blurry. Maybe we can bring this down just a tad. And we'll put a score here. That's alright. You know? Can't complain. Okay, right. So we have our score. Maybe let's move it to the side just a bit. Maybe we want the background to be a bit transparent. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. We'll leave it as is for now. What I want to do is for the health, right? I want the player to have a health, and I want the width of this. The width is currently 400. Let's make it even 400. We love even numbers. Let's make the height even 60. Lovely. Right, so the health, actually we should probably start, should we leave it red and then just decrease it, or should we maybe, yeah, we should have a health background as well. just to show where we were originally. Let's make another image. Let's do HP background. P bar, and then we'll make another, we'll just make an empty object, doesn't have to be anything, and we're just going to call this HP. We're going to wrap both of these in there once we get and what I want to do is actually take that, bring that here, take this, bring this here. Do you know what, actually, yeah, I can make this a child of the background as well. So wherever the background goes, the bar also goes. Now that they're at the same position, let's see, this should be at 0. This should be, well, it doesn't really matter where that is because the bar is going to follow. Okay, so I'm going to make this the same sprite. I want to make it the same width and height as well. So width is going to be 400. Height is going to be 60. We're going to make it a bit darker. We're actually just going to bring down all of these values from white to the, I don't know. Let's see if we move the bar down just to take a look at it. Okay, yeah, that should be good. Cool. So it's going to be that. And should we make this transparent? I don't know. We'll leave it as is for the time being. That should be just fine. And then what I want to do is actually take the center. Oops. Bring it over here. I don't know if I can do the same thing with this. I do want the position to be at 0. Okay, so what I've done there is I've changed the origin of of this object so that we can slowly decrease the width. It's gonna look a bit funky, but that's okay. It's okay for right now anyway. Maybe I didn't want to do that. So instead of I'm not too sure, honestly. Because I do want. Oh, maybe I want it to be sliced then, or rather filled, and then horizontal. Ah, that's what we want. Okay. Yeah, so this is also really nice. Something that Unity lets us do is it lets us fill a sprite to a certain percentage. So if we want it to be, let's say, like halfway filled, then we can change this image type from simple to filled. I'm slowly losing my voice for you guys. So we can change it to halfway, we can change it to a quarter, we can make it go all the way down. And we can also use this value to check for the health if we need to, but we're probably going to have an independent variable to set this fill amount to. Okay, so that works much better. It's going to start off at full health, and let's give the player another script. We have a player animator, a player movement. And we don't want the player movement to be responsible for yeah, we don't want the, actually I'm realizing now excuse me, we don't want the player responsible for the radius either. So we'll make a new script, call it player stats. Just gonna hold on to all the players stats, like radius, like health, like experience. Oh right, it doesn't actually open it, does it? So we are gonna bring that back into our scripts. Lovely. And we'll open it up. Excuse me. Thank you. Open that up. And I know you guys can't see the script at the bottom, or maybe you can see some of it, but not all of it. But I hope you're familiar with the project view at this point. Ooh, or the project tab, I should say. Alright, so we don't need either of those, at least not yet. So player stats, we're actually going to take player movement, and what are we using in here? In text behavior, we had player movements. So where do we call this one? What is the, oh, it's Shift F12. I'm going to try that. Shift F12 to show me where I do that. Okay. And what else do I need the player movement for? I really just do the player movement to get the radius at the moment. So I think instead of getting player movement, I'll get the player stats instead. Yeah. Stats. PS. And I'm actually just going to rename this to PS. I'm going to grab the player stats. Yep, that's what we want. And is close enough to PS and your stats. Just call it P dot radius and P. We love our P. So in player stats, alright. So I'm going to take that radius from player movement, move it into. Do I need the radius in here? I do. So I'm going to actually move this into player stats as well, because this is the only place, at least in this script, I think I'm using radius. Yep. Okay, cool. So I'm going to move this function, this method, whatever you prefer to call it, in here. I'm also going to take the radius so that it knows what the heck I'm talking about. Cool. Okay. So I think that should have solved everything. Cross your fingers, boys and girls. Yeah, all right, let's just test it out. Let's just see what it looks like. So right now we are very zoomed out for the canvas, but zoom back in. Okay. So that all seems to be working fine. Uh-oh. So, text doesn't seem to be working. Ah, right. We haven't actually attached, well, we haven't set the radius for the player in the player stats. So let's do that. We set it to, like, I don't know, 5.52 before. What was it? Right, something like that. Yeah, that's close enough. So we see the gizmo. I should have noticed that when we didn't see the gizmo, that it was because the radius was at 0. Okay, that's working just fine. Cool. And let's go with zoom out quite a lot here so that we can see our canvas, right? And okay, so we're setting text. We have our radius, our player stats, lovely. What else do we have in our player stats? We have maybe private, float, HP, and maybe we can serialize it just to take a look at it in the inspector. So what do we want to do here? So HP, we're also going to set max HP. We'll say HP equals max HP, max HP, and I guess, yeah, we don't have to serialize this. So what do we want to do? What we want to do is set the fill amount here to the ratio of HP to max HP. So we actually need to do that in manager, public, image. We can only access this because we're using the UI package up here. Image, HP, image, and let's say that's. Should we just, no, yeah, I'm just going to move this up here actually, and I'm going to make it serialized. So we love our cereal. Cocoa Puffs and Rice Krispies, oh dear. Serialize Saweria. Sounds like a nice country to go to. Private image. Yep. This is me spacing out. As you guys probably know, at this point happens quite often. So now we want to set the fill amount of this image. In the update, say HP image dot fill amount equals HP divided by max. Ooh, HP. Yep. Nope. Just HP, please. Can I just? Oh, that's in player stats, isn't it? Yep. Okay. Player stats. PS. And we'll say PS equals find object of type player stats. There should only be one dot get component. So we have to get the object and then we have to get the components. Yeah, and then fill amount is going to be ps.hp. We have to make a getter for that. So we'll just type it out for now. ps.hp divided by ps.maxhp. So let's make a couple of getters. So we'll do pub lick float HP, and then get return HP. Yes, we just want getters public float max HP. Oops. We'll start that with capital. Oh, and it even formats it for me. God, you are just so courteous today, aren't you? Return max HP. Yeah. Cool. So now we can go back into, where was it? Was it here? Yeah. Okay. ts.hp and max HP. Cool. And then we just have to make a few functions that are gonna decrement and increment the HP if we need to. So public void take damage, and then floats amount. If amount is greater than 0, HP minus equals amount. Oops, daisies. And public void gain health float amount. If amount is greater than 0, HP plus equals amount. I don't know when we would gain health, but maybe we want to do it at some point, who knows. So when do we take damage? Well, we take damage when we collide with one of the enemies. I would think, anyway. Maybe if an enemy goes off the screen, we also take damage if we miss a word. But I'd rather not have the player have to type out every single word that pops that comes by, because that's going to get really annoying. So I just want to take damage if we hit the player, if the player hits the enemy, and then when we hit the enemy, we're going to add a force in a certain direction from the enemy to the player. So we're going to get that direction, and then we're just going to send a force in that direction. Okay, let's get started on that. Also, sorry if I don't look at you guys very often. I have two monitors here. So I have the one up here and then my keyboard and webcam down here. Right, back on the train. Let's not get left behind here. We want to set the fill amount. We did that. When do we take damage? When the player collides with the enemy. Okay. So, do we have an on collision? We do. On collision, enter 2D. Alright, we have if we hit the floor. Else, if all dot aim object. I'm just going to type all of this out. Alright, rather, I'm just going to copy all of this as opposed to typing it out. If it equals, and let's say enemy. I don't know if we added an enemy tag just yet, but we can do that quite easily, thankfully. Let's go to prefabs. Let's go to our enemy. Let's open this bad boy up. Do we? No, we don't. Open prefab, untagged, add tag, and enemy. Oh, can we not capitalize? Oh, I guess not. Maybe we can. I just, it's removed. Thank you very much. Let's add one. Let's call it enemy. Cool. I just want to make sure that that tag is not in there anymore. Okay, so we have enemy. Cool. And now if we open our prefab and we tag our enemy with the enemy tag, tag them and bag them. So now we have our enemy as some error player movement. Ah, yes, right. We haven't actually finished our if statement. So if the tag is enemy, what do I want to do? I want to send, well, first I want to take damage. So I probably want to reference to player stats. So I'm going to do that. Stats. Or I can also just do get component, because we're on the same object here. So we'll say get components, player stats, dot, take damage. Say 1 for now. I don't know. Each enemy will also have their own amount of damage that you can take from hitting them. So what, you know, why don't we just do that? Why don't we just add in damage here? So public float damage. And for now we'll just set it to 1. We'll say all dot game object dot get components enemy dot damage. So okay, why don't we just set that before we forget? I'm gonna open this up. I will go into here. I'll set the damage to 1, a measly little 1 for right now. And let's see if that works. So we're probably gonna die real quick. And what I also want to do is set the minimum to 0. So take damage. Or oops. Say if HP is less than or equal to 0. It'll actually say if HP is less than or equal to 0, return. We don't want to take any more damage. HP equals 0. Actually, we'll just say HP is less than 0. Less than or equal to 0, that's fine. Totally fine for right now. I don't know if we can set the fill amount to a negative number, so we might run into an error with that. What should we actually do here? We should probably, instead of doing it this way, instead of just subtracting, why don't we just add it? Yeah. I like the one-line if statements, but sometimes you gotta bite the bullet. HP equals 0, return if HP is less than 0, HP equals 0. Okay. So what do we do there? So we're taking damage every time we collide with an enemy, right? Oh, player movement. Yeah, that's the one. So why don't we do that first? Let's just try it out. See that we can at least collide with an enemy. Do they even have colliders on them? That's a wonderful question. I'm pretty sure they do. They come standard with the collider. Just want to be sure here. Okay, so we have an enemy, and they do not. Ha ha ha. That's going to be a problem. So let's add in a collider. What? Oh. Yes. Understood. Bar. Wonderful. So enemies, we just found out, do not have colliders on them, and that's okay. We can add that ourselves. Let's do that. So we can add in a box collider, or in Bassin, box collider 2D, and let's be a bit forgiving. So we'll take the size, bring it down a bit, and we'll take the size of the Y, bring that down a bit, change the offset. How's that looking? That's about the square, right? Maybe we'll bring the Y just a tad bit more down. And the X in, oops, just a bit more. Yeah, okay. Try that out, and that should save for every whoop. Also, why is that looping? I'm not really sure why the particle effect is looping. Oh, because we have it set to looping. That'll do it. Yep. We'll make that a oneer, and we don't want it to start on a wig or plan on a wig. We don't want it to do that. Honestly, you know what? No, that should be fine. I'm just gonna set the start speed to 10. Lovely. So that should save for all of those. Maybe we have to open this one. Oh yeah, so we have to open the prefab of the word. And then change that to 1, change that to start speed. Right. That's our enemy. Into word here. That should have saved. Alright, cool. Radio. Let's clear all that. Let's run this. And let's have a good time. Oh, good. Oh, right, so we have to actually set the HP of the player. Max HP, let's say, is 10. He's dead at the start. Well, that would be a bloody nightmare. Let's see here. So take 1 damage. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not good, right? It's not this. We don't like our player taking damage, but we like the fact that our player can take damage. That's gonna be a problem, right there. If you get stuck in there, oh, that's a nightmare. Cool. Now every time we hit, well, technically we should have done something, fallen, died, right, something like that. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm just changing idle to run, just so he always looks like he's running. Yeah, honestly, I mean, we can change that up a bit. Cool. So that's working. And now what I want to do, last but not least, is I want to add a force in a specific direction. So I want to get a specific vector. Right, so vector 2 equals up. Okay, well, vector equals vector 2. What I want is the position of the enemy. Transform dot position. Minus. I don't know if you can do minus with 2 vectors. Oops. You can, right? And that's going to give me the direction of between the two. So okay, well let's try this out, and we'll see if maybe we have to reverse it. I think maybe we do have to reverse it, but I'm not sure. I haven't worked with vectors in a while, and I realized it got really dark in my room really quickly. Golly. So we have this direction. Now we want to add a force in that same direction. Oh, you know what? And we also want to normalize it. Normalize. And then we want to, yeah, okay. And I think I might have this backwards, but I think I have the idea down. So what we've done is we've taken the two positions and we found the distance between them. And then what we had to do is we had to get a specific direction. So we essentially, when we normalize it, we find the direction where that line is pointing. So if the enemy is here and the player is here, we get this distance. But with those two positions, what we also do is we get a certain direction. So in this case, what I want to do is send the player backwards or up if the player hits the enemy, and I want to add a certain force. So I'm going to say RB2D dot add force, and I want to add a certain amount of force. How much do I want? I want to add direction times, let's say, jump force. And I'm going to add it in that direction. And I just want to see, is that true? Right? Yeah, because if the enemy, yeah, I think that should work. Let me see if that actually does it. I might have this wrong too. If you know how to accomplish this, or if you find something online and you see that something works better, then please let me know. So that doesn't seem to be adding force per se. Maybe it's adding it in the wrong direction. On collision, enter 2D. If it's an enemy, take damage. Direction. New force mode. That's. There's a force mode 2D. That's impulse. That's nice. Is there another overridden force mode? Okay. What is jump force right now? Jump force should be around what, like, where is it? Hang on. Am I losing my mind? I am. So it's about 600. Okay. Let me hit space. Whoa, hello. Okay, well, it worked. Golly. So maybe we want to take jump force and divide it by 60. That is the difference between force and impulse. Golly gee, holy whiz. So maybe instead of 60 divided by 10. And we're just fiddling around with the numbers here. I don't want to see what looks. Oh! Interesting. So it's sending me upwards. Interesting. Oh. I actually want to send them back. The point of contact. Interesting. Yeah. So what is happening is the position of the enemy is not necessarily in the same in line with the player, right? The player could be underneath the position here, right? So this is the position of the enemy, which is sort of up here in this Y position, and then this is the position of the enemy down here. Well, when the enemy does come down, right? So what I actually could do is make a gizmo, draw a line between this position and that position to find the direction in which I want to send the player. Cool. So I can do that, but I will have to do that next time. And thank you guys again for joining me on another wonderful Monday. I hope you guys had a great week and a great weekend. We got the summer coming up, so, well, summer coming up. Technically it is summer, but it's always going to be a nice day out during the day, so I hope you guys get some sun. Hope you guys do social distance, but, you know, enjoy the outdoors, because it is here. We don't have to stay inside all the time, but we just have to be cautious when we walk around and go out in public. So yeah, that's going to be it for me for today. Be sure to like and subscribe to the DAE channel. And check out all of our other resources, because we have a lot of videos. We have some tech tips. We have other people doing really cool subjects. A lot of our instructors are cranking out some really cool content. So other than that, I guess I'll see you guys next week. All right.